Hello there, lamb. Can you help me? I need to find the way. So these passageways and these walkways here would most certainly have been used by the Royalist soldiers. Musket fire holes. The table up there says 1618. What is this little gem? This is a historic gold mine. Down comes the rain. And of course, in true Adventures of the Corn fashion, I don't bring a coat with me, do I? So hello and welcome to this next episode of Adventures of the Corns. So we are in a place called Fenny Compton today, and we're going to be walking to Avon, Dassett, and then later to the Burton Dassett Hills and back round to Fenny Compton. So this is the church of St Peter and St Clare in Fenny Compton. Just going to say a little bit about Fenny Compton. So Fenny actually comes from the word for marshy or muddy because of the heavy clay soil that was here, and a lot of the houses, you can sort of see that they would have all been made out of the local sort of quarries. And back in the Civil War days, so back in sort of 1642, they had the Battle of Edgehill, which was not far up the road, and it was the very first large battle that was fought in the English Civil War, and a lot of the soldiers from the Royalist Army were actually based in Fenny Compton and Avon Dassett, where we're off to next, and they would have used this church as a bit of a defensive structure and a bit of a sort of refuge, I suppose, really. As we head on inside, we immediately notice the original weathered wooden doors that the soldiers back in the 17th century would have been greeted with, and you can still see the scars left behind from that chaotic era. So these holes are all musket fire holes from the English Civil War. The church was built in the early 14th century from local quarry stone that gives the whole region a warm, earthy look. If you think it's strange for a church name to have two saints, then you wouldn't be wrong. Originally just named after St Peter, it was later gifted to a group of canons that gave the church the name of the Blessed St Clare of Montefolco. And rather than renaming the whole church, the locals just kept both. As we move around inside, there is an empty feeling to this place, unlike other churches I've been to. Although the halls are decorated with some fine crafts, some of which were carved by stonemasons over 700 years ago, I can't help but feel that I'm not welcome here, as if I'm being ushered out and sent on my way. So as we head out of the churchyard now and start walking towards Avon Dassett, sorry? Gonna get wet? Probably, yeah, I know. So these passageways and these walkways here would most certainly have been used by the Royalist soldiers. We're just on the Slade Road at the moment, or Slade Lane I think it's called, and then you've just got this right turn here that should take us over to Avon Dassett. So we're just heading up this faint line that you see here, just to the top of the hill now. You can see all the swallows or martins that are scouring the fields here for all the bugs, the insects. I imagine there's a lot of nests around this time of the year. So you can imagine the sort of thousands and thousands of soldiers, Royalist soldiers, that would have been walking across these lands, going from village to village, different outposts. King Charles at the time, he was actually stationed at a nearby manor, I think it was Scott Manor, I believe. But his troops definitely would have been told to go and find their own quarters, find their own dwellings. And that's exactly what they would have done. They would have used the local villagers' food, the local villagers' drink. And I can't imagine many people standing up to a group of soldiers or to a royalist army. They would have probably been able to take exactly what they wanted. But for the people of the village, it would have been tough. It would have been tough times. Nothing but green as far as the eye can see. I don't think I can see any houses other than the odd little farmhouse, which is absolutely beautiful and quite rare, I'd imagine, in this day and age in the UK. If this is your first time watching me, or if you're new to the channel, welcome. Amazing that you found us. So we do regular walks where we have a look at the history, have a look at any points of interest, just sort of all over the place, mostly in the Cotswolds, a bit of Warwickshire. We go further afield as well at some point during this year. If this is your sort of thing, then please do give us a subscribe. It really, really helps the channel. If there's anything on here that you like, then please drop us a like as well. Really, really appreciate it. And it's, as I said before, it really does help the channel immensely. I have also started up a Buy Me a Coffee website. So if anybody feels like buying me a coffee, then please feel free. Well, there is a hare literally running as fast as he possibly can across there. Wow, he is quick. So just coming out onto a road here. Just going to cross straight over. Just skirting along the fields. Get to this point, it's like we're heading down there. Down comes the rain. So that is the first signs of Avon, Dassett. So we do have some proper rain upon us. Sounds amazing. And of course, in true Adventures of the Corb fashion, I don't bring a coat with me, do I? Got one in the van, but that's no good, is it? Jeez, I can't even see, my glasses steamed up. Oh, one day I will learn. So that is so easy to miss. So just in case you come off that stile there from the field with the cows in, and I was like, where do we go here? Because that looks like it's no entry anymore. But if you continue slightly up this road here, you'll see the lane that we're meant to be on. Oh, also gives me a little bit of shelter, which is always nice. Gonna have to put on the old rain jacket for the bag because all my camera stuff's gonna get wet else. There we are. Oh, I don't know, no coat, no cap. Don't know what I was thinking about today. So we've just come out here, and I believe that this is St John the Baptist Church in Avon, Dassett. So that is a very striking, tall tower there. Apparently that is 125 feet into the air. And I'm hoping that this church actually is open as well, because there's a really interesting effigy apparently on the northern wall, which I'm hopefully going to show you shortly. So we'll be heading that way in a sec, down into the actual village itself. But yes, it does say it is open. Amazing. St John the Baptist is a much more modern church built in the late 1860s to replace a dilapidated medieval church. However, it still contains some of those Norman roots. Most notable of these is the stone effigy of a deacon known as Hugo, who died in the mid-1200s, and what's interesting about this particular effigy is that it contains a small tortoise-looking animal, depicted at the deacon's feet nibbling away at the carved foliage. It remains one of the oldest and finest examples of a deacon effigy that can be found today in all of England. So you just might as well have a bit of a drink while we're waiting for this rain to ease off a little bit. I don't know why I never bring a coat, honestly. And also, this really isn't the best. I don't think it quite fits it properly, does it? Okay, let's head out of the church. Weather's eased off a little bit. Does look like it's here to stay for a little while, but there is a few bright patches if you look hard enough. Is this another church here? I was not informed of this church. There's obviously a clock tower there. Catholic church, okay. So we have the Yew Tree pub just there. It looks very nice and country dining. And we are just walking to the right here and back onto the public footpaths. I think that pub is about to open because this smell of fried goods is emanating from there. So we're sticking to the left side of the field here as we start our journey. It looks like we're marching into finer skies as well. I can see a bit of bright sky over that way. How's it going, Mr. Sheep? Don't worry, I'm not coming near your tree. This is your tree, your shelter. So you can see the surrounding hills all around here, as I alluded to before. And a lot of these hills, including the Burton Dassett hills, are actually made from Jurassic ironstone and are around 190 million years old. So back then, this entire region would have been a subtropical shallow sea. It's absolutely teeming with prehistoric life. The lands that you see here were once owned by sort of peasants, just local villagers who would just farm the land for crops, farm the land to get whatever they could to survive. They were actually, in the 15th century, they're basically due to the emergence in the wool trade, and the demand for sheep farming was a lot more profitable than allowing a few villagers to crop your land. A lot of the more gentry population actually evicted all of the peasants, made them homeless, and then demolished their houses, demolished a lot of their farms, made them go to other spaces to make way for more pasture land. And what we will come to in a moment is actually part of that old community, which obviously no longer stands today. But there is an isolated church just a little bit further up here that stands as testament, I suppose, to that time. Gorgeous little outlook out there now. Just see the surrounding hills over there. Sort of tallest peak with the forest on the top, the woods on the top. That is Edgehill. So like I alluded to before, when all the soldiers were based all the way from Fenny Compton to Avon Dassett to Burton Dassett, they'd have all ended up over on that hill at some point. There's some beautiful trees just standing lonely in the middle of these fields. I think this is probably a really good example here of the ridge and furrow landscape that was well known to be used by the medieval farmers when they were planting their crops. You can see the undulations in the land there. See, this is where like I start thinking about how easy we actually have it these days, to be honest. I know a lot of us moan, we've all got our own things to moan about. Everything's subjected, isn't it, to how we feel on that day. But can you just imagine being one of those medieval farmers, coming out here every single day in any weather and just ploughing your own food? If you didn't plough your food, that was it. There was no Tesco's, you know, there was no Asda. You either worked the land or you died. And if you didn't die from hunger, you'd have probably died from disease, you'd have probably died from potential war. And then going a little bit further into the future with the English Civil War, just being conscripted into the Royalist Army or the Parliamentary Army, and then having to walk over onto that massive hill over there. You have no idea about this place. You probably live miles and miles and miles away from here, have never seen this place before, and then all of a sudden you chose to fight for your king, fight for your country, and you're in the middle of a battle. You've got a suit of armour on, you've got a sword and a shield, you've got a musket, you've got a pike is what they used to have, you're on horseback. You know, it's amazing to think amount of people and the amount of different times of history that have probably walked through these lands, just these lands alone, let alone you know, throughout the whole of the UK. There are some absolute magical places, and I just feel very, very lucky to be visiting them and be able to do this. Hello, sheep. How are you both? Are you okay? It's okay, I'm not going to disturb you. I'm a vegetarian. Hello. Are you okay? Hello, sheeps. You okay? Oh, look at them all huddled. Hello. Now, I feel like I've met this kind of sheep before. This is what I call a Gandalf sheep, because he is standing his ground, but my path goes right next to him, or her. You shall not pass. It's okay, Gandalf. I'm only here for the scenery. You are not a culinary object to me. You're beautiful. I love your little youngster as well. Hello, little lamb. Absolutely gorgeous trees around here. Look at that. The size of that oak. That is huge. I wish I could definitely tell a few stories. Oh, that is a wobbly bridge. Or something quite upsetting about how wobbly that is, to be honest. Jeez. Not quite sure what crops these are, but they're looking fantastic. The flowers there. Lots of bees as well, humming around them. So Burton Dassett actually gets its name from the Old English words of Bur, meaning a fortified manor or enclosure, and Tun, meaning a settlement, farm or village. And the word Dassett is actually much older and originates from Common Brittonic, and it's formed from Dur, D-E-R-W, meaning oaks, and Coed, meaning woodland or forest. So together the name roughly signifies an enclosed or fortified settlement near the oak woods. So I've got tons of that sort of clay soil on the bottom of my shoes there. Can't imagine what that's like in the winter. Hello. Hello. It's a funny looking sheep. Oh, he's just realised he's not kept up with his mother. Oh no, you've been imprisoned. Have you been bad lambs? You're in Borstal. Hello, beautiful GGs. How are you? How you doing? You okay? That's good. So I know I was saying a few fields back that there was an isolated church here that the villagers used to use before they were all told to do one and evacuated from their lands. And this is that church. So this is the All Saints Church, the old I believe it was called Burton South End, I think, back in the day. And I'm hoping to go in, so I'm just gonna make sure that my boots are cleaner than this. No, that is not open from that angle. Oh, maybe there is another entrance. As you can see, it is very well weathered, this place. Very well weathered. This looks like the main entrance. Church is open, wonderful. So yeah, this is the All Saints Church of Burton, Dassett. Oh wow, this is not what I expected from outside. This is a huge space, isn't it? That's the door that I tried to come in that was all locked up. This is incredible. I do have to say there is a really nice feeling in here. I don't know why. It feels very safe, very cozy, very warm, whether it's just because the weather outside's particularly bad today, but it's a very nice feeling about this place. Wow, the detail there. It's incredible. Now, I don't know an awful lot about this church other than some of the pillars contain whimsical animals. It really is such a vast space. The table up there says 1618. That's amazing. So this would also have been here when the Civil War soldiers would have been around these areas. And I assume that these are the whimsical animals. Looks like some sheep. Don't know what that is. Evil ferret. Looks like a hare. Oh, scary. Here, as you can see, the old paintings that I know when Henry VIII came into power, he didn't like the church, did he? If you know anything about history at all, he didn't like the church, basically, and a lot of the old medieval things were whitewashed over, and they were forgotten about for centuries, some of them, that there was actually whitewash on there, until one day they've come and wiped over the walls again to clean them, and they found all these old paintings of saints and biblical context. This is really good though, isn't it? They've got all the... I'll let you sort of read it in your own time and zoom in. But yeah, north, south and west walls of the nave. All Saints Church remains fabrics to 7 examples of medieval and post-medieval wall paintings, largely because the church escaped much of the heavy-handed restoration which was common in the 19th and early 20th centuries, yeah. The significant painting on the nave is on the chancel arch wall where 2 schemes survived. Earliest these dates from the 13th century. So that must be what you can see up there. You can see the red painting of the... Looks like an angel on the right there and potentially Virgin Mary in the middle. There's all these other sort of words and quotes. I don't know if you can hear that, but that rain as well sounds absolutely amazing on this roof. This is a historic gold mine. I tell you what, anybody that's into their history or into their churches at all, check out All Saints Church in Burton, Dassett. I am truly blown away. I think that's amazing, genuinely. Okay, we must crack on. So, there you are. The All Saints Church of Burton, Dassett. So we're now going to head up into Burton, Dassett territory, onto the hills. What I had planned was to actually go over the Burton, Dassett hills to the other side and then walk back along the edge. But I think because of the weather and because of how it is, so what we're going to do is go up to the top of the Burton, Dassett hill, look at the beacon there, the Prospect Tower, as it is called, and then we're going to come back down the road and then actually hook up with the footpath that heads back into Fenny Compton. I know I'm a big guy, but Are you joking with this? Have you seen this? Are you joking? Look, who is fitted in this gap? Who made this gate? Huh? Who? If you stand there, what are you going to do? Huh? I'm not the night bus from Harry Potter. Where are you meant to stand? Think about it. Luckily, there is an actual gate that's made for cars, so just about the right size for me. What is this little gem? Is this a crypt? This looks like an old crypt. That is crazy. I'm not about to go down there because, as you can see, it's absolutely boggy as hell. I'll probably end up dead myself. Add myself to the bodies. But yeah, I don't know what the dates are on these. I'm going to find out a little bit of information about that and try and pop it up on the screen. But yeah, love these little finds. So Burton Dassett Hills, you can't actually drive up the road. And this is the road you can see here that we're going to follow all the way up. You can drive onto the actual Burton Dassett Hills itself. There is a car park at the very top. It's cheating, if I'm honest, but I completely understand for people that can't do what I'm doing right now. It is a very good way to be able to get a bit of elevation and see what I can see without having to walk the walk I've walked. There's a gorgeous property, isn't it? So we are out on the open land. I do believe this is a common, so, but if you're thinking of bringing your dog here for a walk, then you just need to keep a close eye on him. So I'm just going to head off the beaten track here and just have a look at this beacon here. There we are. Right on the bird poop, lovely. It's up there. So yeah, this is the peak of Burton Dassett Hills. So I think we're going to head over to the beacon. That's handy, there are some public toilets actually there as well. I assume that they're open. They look open. Yeah, plenty of parking by the looks of it. Little car park just down there. I'm not quite sure how much it is. I'll have a look on the way back if I remember. So yeah, Warwickshire's Jurassic Park. How the rocks make the landscape. So, apparently, as we are here now at the Prospect Tower, this is an actual enclosed beacon that used, or that could have been lit to warn neighbouring villages of attacks, or neighbouring provinces of potential threat. So yeah, so this was basically one big giant fire pit really, just to warn the neighbouring villages, the neighbouring towns, that there was trouble afoot. And then in the English Civil War in 1642, I'm pretty sure it would have been used in the Battle of Edgehill for a lookout post. Guards would have been stationed here, and that is Edgehill right out there. And the parliamentarians were actually over in Kyneton, which is a little bit further over that way. I don't think you can quite see it from here. But they were all stationed in Kyneton, and the royalists were all stationed over here on this side in the Dassets and Bassets, in the Basset Hounds, in the Dassets. You can just imagine for any soldier, you would have been able to see the thousands and thousands, you know, tens of thousands of the parliamentarians getting into position. They had a lot of horses in the parliamentarians as well, a lot of cannons. You would have been able to see all the armies getting into position if you were stood here in 1642. Oh, it's nice and out the wind here. Good place to have a drink. So yeah, originally I was due to walk into the village and then we walk around that way, but I think we're going to go back down the path. So leaving the Burton Dassett Hills behind, and going to start heading back down to Fenny Compton. The rain has appeared again, and I can't believe how much of an idiot I am not for bringing a coat today. But yeah, so it's towards the Fox Covert It's 300 metres this way. I'm not quite sure what that is, but we'll have a look. I'm sure we pass it. Ah, it doesn't actually say. Just says card only. How weird. Fair enough. I tried. This is cool. What is this? This feels very Jurassic, doesn't it? This is what they must have meant by the ironstone. I should imagine a few English Civil War soldiers probably used this. I bet you I didn't make as much mess as this though. Anyway. That right there is the sun. It is trying to get through them clouds as hard as it possibly can. That looks like a nice little sort of woodland walk there as well. So that there, where you can see the gate and the woodland walk, is actually the Fox Covert that they talk about. The Fox Covert is actually the name of the wood, or it's called the New Covert on the OS map there. And there's a little sort of woodland walk in there that's paved. Apparently there also, I was just doing a little bit of searching, and there's a 19th century Victorian reservoir that actually runs underneath the woodland itself that used to supply drinking water to a nearby town. So I think we're actually heading along there and then along the edge and going into that corner over there. So that, if we'd have carried on into the town, then that is the way we would have come back, that way. So now we're actually heading across the field. In Fenny Compton, I think you can just about, you probably can't see it on this camera, but just about see it there in the distance. There's a couple of yellow fields behind it and the sun is actually shining there. You see a slightly different angle of the hills that we've gone over from this angle. Looks very nice, doesn't it? Beautiful rolling landscape there. You can actually see the beacon still at the top there, just on the little hill with the edge. We aren't very far now. As you can see, that is the tower there of the church of Fenny Compton. So probably less than a mile, I'd say now. But this does feel like it's going on forever. I don't think anything's actually getting closer in the distance, to be honest. I feel like I'm on a bit of a treadmill here. I think we're nearly at the road. Looks like there is a gate just there. Don't know if there's a gate that end as well, but we'll see. Hello there, lamb. Can you help me? I need to find the way where am I going? I've just completely, hello. You are beautiful, aren't you? I know, yeah. I need to find the way. Oh, help me, please, help me. Oh. I didn't get to tell him where I was going. Are you okay? How are you doing? Are you all right? Where the hell do I go from here? That's it, you go tell your mum. Aha. Here we are. That's what I've been looking for. That was a nice little side mission. I thought I had to gonna go all the way around. Okay, so we are now on, well, we are now back in Fenny Compton. How beautiful this house is here on the left, with the laburnum out the front, and absolutely gorgeous. Some beautiful houses here. And I'm pretty sure, as we round this corner, should be able to see the van. Nope, not quite. There she is, the van. Ah, there you are. So it's been an interesting trip, hasn't it? I think very eventful, a lot of history. And could have done without the last sort of mile though, I think, because that really did take it out of me. And but yeah, we won't speak of that. It's part of it sometimes, isn't it? But yeah, thank you very, very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. Remember to like, remember to subscribe, do all those YouTubey things for the algorithm. It is completely free. And I'll catch you on the next one. Take care, guys.